Okay, today is January the 28th, 2019, and right now at 9:30 p.m. we have a temperature of 59 degrees here in the foothills of Los Angeles. The relative humidity is up at 52%, and the dew point is at 41 degrees. We've got a barometric pressure right now of 29.91. That has dropped just a tad. We had 29.92 this morning. And the last several days, the last video I did was on the 22nd. Since that time, we've had very low relative humidity. In fact, on the 22nd, we had, it was fluctuating between 12 and 16%. On the 23rd, we had 27% humidity in the morning at about 10:30. Next day, the 24th, 23% at 10:30 in the morning. The 25th, 19.8% at 11 a.m. And so the 26th, 19%, 27th, 21%. We've had very, very low humidity numbers. Today was up a little bit. At 10:20, we had 36% humidity today. But look at what's been moving in all day long. We should be having inches of rain from this tropical flow moving in from down past the latitudes of the Hawaiian Islands. We put the grid on and we can see where this moisture's originating. There's actually a gale force weather system indicated right here, this counterclockwise spinning area of weather. And we have this area of weather which is actually developing. We can see something, if we put the water vapor map, we can see something trying to spin right here, starting to develop. So we've got a system here and one right down here, and there is a separation installed to prevent these two from merging. We can see that dark area right there. There's a high pressure installation going in right there to separate these two developing weather systems. Also, we can see a big separation right here. This is a blockade, an electronic wall, preventing this 952 millibar weather system, which has a sort of a right angle on it right here up near the Aleutian Islands. We can see that system is a very large system. This is actually developing 49.5 foot swells according to the swell report. And we can see this blockade that's been built in, which is going to separate all this flow and weather from what's developing right here just immediately east of the Hawaiian Islands. Now, all day long, as I mentioned, we should have had rain. We woke up this morning to overcast skies. We can see the massive amounts of moisture moving in to the southwest, all the way through California, down into Arizona. But there is a no rain forecast. There has been for the last, actually since the 16th, the spigot has been off. No rain, zero precipitation. Let's look at the Doppler map right now. We can see the situation over California. There is rain offshore. We can see it's all been chopped up by these WSR-88Ds that are positioned all along the California coast. But just here in the, I can read off a few of these. We've got the Eureka transmitter, KBHX. We've got the Sacramento transmitter, KDAX. We've got the San Francisco transmitter, KMUX. We've got the one at Vandenberg, of course. That's KVBX. We've got one in Los Angeles, KVTX. And one in San Diego, KNKX. These are all WSR-88D microwave transmitters. And if you haven't seen one of these, they look very similar. I can put the light on here. We can take a look at just real quick what they look like. They are up on a six-story tower. We can see that. And we have the radome right here, which houses the parabolic dish. That's not a very good shot, but next time we'll get a better picture up. Anyhow, you can look up the WSR-88D on YouTube and also on Wikipedia. It's a a Doppler transmitter. It's designed for severe weather detection, but it also has a secondary function which has not been made public. And we can see the pie-shaped cutouts on some of these maps. Not tonight here. We're not seeing much of that here tonight. But the only rain really showing up on the Doppler is up here in Northern California, right off of Mendocino and near Redding, and right up in this area near Susanville and Volcanic National Park, right up here, Lassen Volcanic National Park, right up there in Northern California. Now let's zoom out. We can take a look at some of the other things going on around the country. There's very cold weather up in the Chicago area. You can see a lot of rain moving through Texas and Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and quite a bit of snow and cold weather up here in Toronto, Buffalo, New York. All this whole area is getting weather. But out here on the west coast, the spigot has been off since the 16th, actually the 17th. That last bit of rain, we've had a total of 12.95 inches for the season since the 16th. It's been pretty much dry, very low humidity conditions. In fact, the very next day on the 18th, because we had rain on the 17th, the 18th we had very, very heavy chemtrail aerosols being sprayed, and the humidity was down at 61% the very next day after having all that rain. Actually 60%. We went from the 17th, we had 99% humidity. It rained all day on the 17th. The 18th, we saw that the skies were just completely blanketed with chemtrail haze. I may have mentioned this in the previous video, but the humidity dropped from 99% down to 60.4% the very next day. So when they turn the spigot off, the humidity drops, and we see the aerosols up in the skies. Today was another horrific day for these aerosols. There was very heavy spraying all day today, and that's been the case the last week and a half, pretty much every day. Very heavy spraying, and that has prevented the rain despite this massive flow moving in. Let's look at the western U.S. water vapor loop. We can see the massive tropical moisture moving in. We've got a weather system right out here trying to spin up. Let's go back to the big map. And we can see right out here, we've got a system spinning. There's actually this is indicated as a gale. We can take a look at the surface analysis map here in a minute. So all this moisture should be generating precipitation, but the atmosphere has been capped by these chemical aerosols, these chemtrails, which have been sprayed by the specially equipped jets. Those aerosols are sprayed in the upper atmosphere, and that prevents the lift in the atmosphere necessary for the precipitation process. So we have to have moisture and lift in the atmosphere, two components. And what's happening is that these chemical aerosols are trapping and preventing the lift. The blanket of chemtrail haze is preventing the precipitation process. Here is the southwest infrared map. We can see all that moisture streaming in, and there is no rain showing up on that Doppler map. Once again, we see the manipulation occurring. We can see the rain as it arrives offshore is immediately broken up by these transmitters, these WSR-88Ds, which are positioned all up and down not only the coast but inland. We've got transmitters at Edwards Air Force Base, up near Beale Air Force Base, up near Sacramento. So they're all over the place in California, as well as in all the states around the country. You can find the map that shows all the locations of those WSR-88D transmitters on Wikipedia. All right, so here's the infrared map once again for the Southwest. Taking a look at the jet stream, we can see that it's diving down through Canada and down into Montana, part of Washington, Oregon, and through Utah and Colorado, New Mexico, down through Texas. All right, let's take a look next at what's happening here in this map right here, the water vapor map. There is a weather system right here off of Northern California starting to spin counterclockwise, and look what happens here through the 7.5 hour loop. It completely just sort of falls apart. You see that counterclockwise rotation begin, and then it just abruptly falls apart. And in the next map here, in the IR map, we can see this hole that opens up right there. That's where the transmitter targets the vortex, the lowest pressure area of this developing weather system. And look what happens. The depth of the water vapor, it changes. The scale here indicates the depth of the water vapor. So yellow and green and blue are the more shallower depths of water vapor. This red up here is much deeper. So here we have some really good evidence of that transmitter, satellite-based transmitter, targeting this area, boring a hole right near the vortex of that system. We see rapid evaporation, and the entire system essentially just implodes, and we're left with just leftover, not much of a weather system left. Taking a look at the MODIS Today map next, we can see the massive aerosol chemtrail haze. We can see that today's map has a white streak through it. That happens periodically. We're missing some information. If we click on the max zoom scale right here, we'll let that load up. We'll come back to that here in a minute. Let's take a look at the surface analysis map. We can see that weather system. This is a storm right off the Aleutian Islands out here. This is a 958 millibar system with a arrow pointing to the northeast. You see that occluded front in purple. That's where the right angle is. The satellite transmitter is heating the center of this weather system. That's what's forming that right angle, this occluded front. You should never see an occluded front in the middle of a storm. You should have a giant cold front extending all the way down. So we've got high pressure installed between this storm and this low right down here, and this low right here. This is a developing gale, as is this system right just east of the Hawaiian Islands. This is a 1,008 millibar weather system, and we've got high pressure installed, of course, right off of the west coast. We see a trough indicated right there. So looking at the water vapor map, you would think that we would be getting a lot of rain today, and we should be getting a lot of rain. This area right here was completely disassembled. This was targeted and knocked down. Look at the evaporation rate there. In that period of time, the 7.5 hours, we see that system just completely break down. And of course, the heavy spraying prevented any precipitation from all this moisture moving in. All right, so that's the report for today. The MODIS Today map. Here we have, you can see the detail here in the max zoom. You see all these streaks. This upper level chemtrail haze has been sprayed all over the place. The off-white is the chemical haze, and the brilliant white is the natural clouds. There it is. Okay, so we'll just leave it right here. We can see that right angle imprint here on the big map, right out here, right there. Look at that. That is amazing. That's a satellite transmitter. They're separating the frontal system from the vortex. This area here is peeling off. You can see a clockwise rotation. And right up here, this has all been separated from the vortex. See that gap right through there. Okay, that's it.